I went from a normal kid in Ohio to making over $60,000 on average every single month simply from selling information online. And I'm gonna just walk you guys through my story. Gonna open it up with, I was born in Ohio. I think everyone knows about the memes about Ohio being the worst state in America and nothing happens there, which I can confirm is true. But what Ohio does do is produce really good people. And my parents are also from Ohio. I have the best parents in the world, the most supportive and honest parents of all time who just want me to, do best. And so when I was 5, they got divorced. So I was born in Ohio. We moved to California, and then we moved to Atlanta. And by the time I was in Atlanta at 5 years old, my parents split apart. But they did a really good job of keeping a good relationship, with each other, which I know is insanely hard to do during that time, and just maintaining a good relationship just for the sake of myself and my brother. And I'm incredibly thankful for that. But truly, growing up, I was like switching almost every single day. My exact schedule I remember it, of course, for switching houses because, it was 50-50 custody. It was every weekend switch. Every Monday was my mom. Every Tuesday switched. Every Wednesday was my dad. Every Thursday was my mom. And then Friday was part of the weekend, so that day switched as well. So I was basically sleeping in a different bed almost every single day growing up. And so that really has made me honestly into who I am, which I'll get into. And growing up, like my dad is a very successful man and is just such a good person. He works on Wall Street and has the biggest heart ever. My mom is one of the most emotionally intelligent and strong women that I've ever met. And she and him have done everything to put me in the best possible position to succeed. For instance, like at 7, I met, everyone knows the movie Goodfellas, Robert De Niro. I met him, I got to talk to him at 7, tell him jokes, right? People like this. I was always surrounded by successful people because my parents cared so much about that. And winning was built into our blood. So like growing up, I was super into basketball. Basketball was my thing. I wanted to be a point guard. I wanted to play on the Lakers. I would like play NBA 2K my career, like for hours and hours just because I wanted to be that person, be that guy who, wanted to be in the NBA. Like every kid has the same dream. And so my point is that sports was super competitive. So my family was ultra competitive, and winning was just baked into our DNA. And that was always a huge thing for me. And kind of growing up, I was a popular kid in middle school, popular kid in elementary school, would make people laugh. The teachers liked me. I got good grades, stuff like that. And in high school, I let all that go to my head. And so like freshman year, I remember I lost literally, so I got put into a group chat on Snapchat. And by the way, rightfully so. I was like not a good friend in 8th grade. I got put into like a group chat with my friend group on Snapchat. And just everyone said paragraphs about like why I was such a horrible friend, why, like wishing me a horrible high school. And some of those guys I'm even cool with now. I don't talk to them very much, but we made amends. But my point is that I got completely ostracized at school. And the one chance I had to get back into like the normal vibe of school was at this one party, because I didn't get invited to any parties freshman year except one. And I went to this party and I made a fool out of myself because I thought I could handle, things that I couldn't. And it made it even worse. Like you could only imagine. So like I didn't want to go to school for 2 weeks just because of how embarrassed I was. And so at that same age, when I was ostracized, I was 13 at the time, and my brother was 19. And my brother discovered that he was really good at business, just like, winning was built into our family. And so he got really good at online business and e-commerce, became ultra successful at like 21. But in 19, he was hustling. And naturally, right, when you're 13 and you see your 19-year-old brother doing something, you naturally want to be like your bigger brother. Everyone does. And he was doing really good in e-commerce. And so I naturally wanted to start doing stuff. So I started watching like Iman Gaji and Jordan Welch, and all those guys that I'm sure you all know, the OGs, Nathan Nazareth, it's crazy I get to talk to him now, right, with where I'm at. But I remember watching him as a kid and like dreaming about getting there once I realized my dream of being in the NBA was not real. And now I get to text Nathan Nazareth sometimes. We're not super close, but it's surreal. And now I'm in like a Miami penthouse, which is where all the, because I have such good clients, this is my client's penthouse. But anyways, getting back on track, like he was getting really good at business, and I started watching all these things. I remember my first ever thing I started selling like AI generated art, made 0 sales, of course. And I actually hired a guy named Emil to help me with the marketing of that, and he'll come into the story later. But I failed at that. And then, I bought Iman Gaji's Agency Navigator during his like 2020, 2021, super famous VSL that everyone knows about. I bought into Agency Navigator with like my $1,500 that I saved up from delivering jumpies to like birthday parties for kids. That was like my side hustle. When I was in 8th grade and like freshman year, I would ride with the upperclassmen in their cars and set up the jumpies, make like $40 after 2 hours. And again, my family did well. It's not like I needed that money. I wanted to do something to make money. And so then I started Agency Navigator with all the money I saved up. And I was calling pool construction companies for like 2 weeks, cold calling them every single day. And of course, looking back at it, it was so dumb because I would get home from school and football practice and basketball practice at around like 6 to 7. And so all the companies were closed, but I was doing cold calls to them. And of course, they weren't answering. And so after 2 weeks of doing that and following Agency Navigator from Iman, I closed 0 clients, of course, and was like, maybe I shouldn't run a business. Like maybe I shouldn't do this right now. And so I remember the guy, Emil, who I hired to help me with the marketing of my drop shipping, the AI art. I texted him and I was like, hey, like I'd love to like be a salesman for you. 'Cause in my mind, I was like, I can make some side hustle money, learn a little bit about online business. It won't be my business, so I can learn from him. And now he's like literally one of my best friends. It's so funny now and surreal to think about it. But he was like, okay. And so I started appointment setting for him. And I was in his DMs, and I also ran ads on my Instagram account. But my Instagram account got permanently banned, identity and IP banned, forever on Meta, which, is now resolved now 6 years later. But my point is that I was setting for him and doing sales calls. And so like, I remember my record month after like 6 months of working with him, I think I made like $10,000 or $11,000 in commission, which was like insane to do as like a sophomore in high school. I think it was my freshman year, summer, like early sophomore year. 'Cause I remember I was always playing football during that time and taking calls between practice and stuff, in school. Yeah, crazy. But anyways, hit that 10K month, and I got hit up by a developer in the DMs who was like, hey, like I have this, when you work with people in the info space, everyone's always pitching everyone. And so as a setter, like I saw in his DMs, he got outreached by someone who I'm not going to name now because we had a big falling out, who became my developer for my first ever, very like pretty successful business, which was a software company. And, I was banned on ads, and this guy came out with the pitch, hey, like we can basically get your competitors' traffic to your account. And I was like, wow, this is something that, just checking how long we've been recording. Okay. And this was something that intrigued me because I was banned. And so I like got interested, and he was like, I haven't developed it yet. I can develop it. And so like 2 months into it, I told Emil, I was like, hey bro, I love you so much. We're going to like, and we lived in the same city, but I was like, I'm not going to sell anymore. And he was like totally cool about it. He wanted me to chase my dream because he's a fantastic person. And so I started doing that. And so at like 15, 16, it was my company, still called Stealth to this day, right? We just rebranded into what we do now. It was a software company. I was selling it for like $1,000 a month. I remember my first ever client was for $300 per month. His name was Gabe, and he was selling a master resale rights course. And literally just like, so master resale rights is a course where like you buy someone else's course and you resell that course for all the profits. So it was like very weird industry. But I sold the software to him, and it worked really, really, really well. And so we were just engaging with his competitors' traffic, bring him to his account, and boom, he was getting people. And ironically, that industry was full of moms with side hustles. So Gabe was like one of the 0.01% of guys who was in that industry, and the rest were moms. So within like 2-3 months, like I'm in high school, and all I wanted to do was work. And this like the biggest thing I didn't want to do was go to college. And I would always bring it up to my dad, hey, I don't want to go to college. Like, I'm doing this business thing. And my brother Jack ended up dropping out and moving to Puerto Rico. And I was like, I want to be like Jack. And my dad was like, absolutely not. You're going to college. Very traditional parents, right? This is someone who grew up in Youngstown, Ohio, worked his butt off every single day to put himself through college, which was then the connection between him and him getting his Wall Street job. So college was big, to my dad. It still is. And I did not want to go. I remember I had a talk with someone who worked in corporate, and he was just telling me, he makes a lot of money and he drove a Porsche, but he hated his life, right? This is a guy who probably made 500 grand a year, drove a Porsche, nice car. Everyone wants a Porsche, classy. And he was just like, I have a boss. I have to be at my job from, 8 to 7 o'clock, and everyone calls it a 9 to 5. And he was like, don't go to college. You're too smart. Like, start your own business. And this was when I was, younger, like 10. And so throughout that, I always had that belief of, I don't want to go to college. I need to be successful before it. And my dad and my mom would always be like, slow down, slow down. I just, when you're a kid and you become obsessive with something, you just don't want to slow down. It's the only thing that you think about. It's the only thing that you can really resonate with. And I remember I was just so focused on scaling this company. And every single week I'd bring up to my dad, like, hey, I don't want to go to college. I don't want to go to college. And I had a 4.0 in high school, like straight A's, and got a scholarship. I'll tell you later. And it was just never an option. My dad was just absolutely not, you're going to college. And so while I was scaling this company, in the back of my mind, it was always, if I'm successful, no one can tell me what to do. And I'm going to have this money. And I'm going to be able to say, hey, I don't want to go to college because I'll be 18 and can make my own decisions. And I love my family so much, but I just didn't want to go to college. And that was always the fear. And so while I was scaling, I ended up working with like 99% women for like from ages like 15 to like 17 and a half. So like junior year, sophomore or senior summer, and only working with women. And so these women would pay me like $800 to like $1,500 per month for the software. Of course, it would work. They'd be really happy, but they'd ask so many questions. Like, I would be in class on my phone the whole time. I got so many detentions because I would just be responding to clients. And when you're a kid and you have clients, it is so scary when people have problems because you think it's the world. And it still is now. I still want to fix my clients' problems every day. But at the time, it felt so much bigger than it really was. And so with this skill, talking to these women every single day, I mean, I had a couple male clients, but that skill of acquisition, I got so good at it. I got so good at DM setting because I used to do it, and then I was helping them every single day because I wanted them to succeed because I knew that they would stay on the software in that case. And, I'd make money. And so I got really good at the sales process, the DM setting process, the content process, just all of it. And by the time I was like 17, like 2 years into running this, I had hit, like, my record month was like 16K, like I think it was $16,400 a month. And that was like MRR because it was a software business. And it was insane. Like I was, a junior. It was like, I think November of 2023. And I was making $16,000 a month in high school, and I was on the football team. And I mean, I stopped caring so much because when you make 4 times the average American salary and you're listening to a teacher who makes $36,000 a year talk to you, you just can't comprehend why you're there, right? And so you get an ego, of course. But again, being isolated in school, listening to teachers who I was making 5 times the money and also doing school, it's just like insane. And you're doing all this while doing football. And I was like, when I have the time in summer, like I'm going to change my life forever. And so with that same thought came even more of the fear of college, because college is not, you have to go to school for 7-8 hours a day and then do practice. It's you're there 24/7. And if I was there 24/7, I knew like it's just so, everyone just drinks. I didn't like drinking. Everyone smokes weed and they're lazy. And the frats and stuff. And I just hated all of it, because you have to understand that in my mind, the same people who ostracized me at high school are the same like frat vibe of kids, the popular, right? And I was still friends with some of them, but it was the last thing I wanted. And so I kept mentioning it to my dad. And since I got, to making 16K a month by like 17, it's just it just screws your mind. And so I ended up realizing, about at 18, like beginning of senior year, that I would make so much more money doing the consulting, because I was like, I spend most of my time coaching these people who are on my software, right? I spend so much time doing it, and it takes up the majority of my business. So why don't I charge for this and not just the software? So then I rebranded everything, and I became Consulting plus AI, which is what I am today, consulting plus business infrastructure plus AI. And that AI was kind of the flagship or unique marketing angle. And I wanted people to work with me for me, not because of my software. And so for about a year, I remember my record was like, I think 40K in a month, after, going through senior year. Towards the end of senior year, I was making around that. Not consistently, it's super volatile, but I was more into consulting and coaching. And so doing that, it was fun. I realized how much I loved it, and I switched into coaching like 99%. Now it's 100% all men, right? I coach men now. Is scaling coaching offers, consulting offers, agency offers, and growth operating offers. That's who I work with now, and I transitioned to that in senior year. So it was about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And it's funny because as I was making more money in senior year, me and my dad, and again, my dad's intense, biggest heart ever, but intense and very serious and impossible to argue with because he's so smart. And so I was just getting so much more locked in on, oh my God, like college is right around the corner. Like, is this all going to fall apart? I don't want to go. I'm going to hate the environment. I hate high school. I'm surrounded by people I don't want to be surrounded with. I feel like a loser. I feel ostracized. You know what's funny is everyone talks about how they make all this money at a teenage age and feel like such a G. And I was making like 40 grand a month as a senior and felt like such a loser just because you have to be in high school for 8-10 hours every single day. And like I was sitting alone at lunch taking sales calls like between classes and still getting in trouble. And that's just so funny because everyone's scenario is so different. And so I was making 40 grand a month as a kid feeling like a loser. And me and my dad started arguing about college because I was like, I don't want to go. And my pain became bigger about like being surrounded by people I didn't want to be. It's crazy. I remember I wanted really badly to go to Dubai. And that was like the biggest argument me and my father ever had. And of course, everything's fine now. But we were just like, I think I started crying. My dad also, was emotional. I just was like, I'm going to Dubai. I don't care. I want to visit my friends. I want to do blah, blah, blah. And he was just absolutely not, right? You're a kid. You're not going that far away from us. You don't know what you're doing. You don't have life experience, which was fair at the time. And that was just such a big turning point because I was like, if I want to make my own decisions in the future, it needs to happen. Like I cannot go to college because if I go to college, then I start falling in line with the same story that man told me when I was younger about how he hates his life and he's forced to do things. And I just was so terrified of this. And me and my dad, great relationship, but just we're arguing all the time about it. And I got a full scholarship to Auburn, full ride, almost full ride. I think we were going to pay like 2K a year, or like 5K a year. And my grades, which were 4.0 straight A's, got me a scholarship. And everything was like so in line for me going to college, and I was so upset. But I knew that if I was upset, my mom, would worry about me. And the last thing I wanted my mom to do was worry. I just wanted my mom to be happy. I still do. That's the only thing I really care about. And so I just put the face on for like the last 2 months of senior year, making this money. And, the face on of I'm okay, I'm excited for college because that's what you want to tell your family. You want to keep them happy. And it was such a lie. It was not true at all. I was so terrified and upset about going. And so there's this thing at Auburn called Camp War Eagle, and it's like orientation. And so me, my dad, and my mom go to Camp War Eagle, and like they could just like sense the misery on me at that camp because you're with them. And I remember when we got home, or not when we got home, before that, like before we left Auburn, my dad was just like, I could just tell he was quiet and he was thinking so much about it. And when we got home, we had like the most emotional conversation I've ever had. And he was just like, I can't see you do this. I get it. I understand. And so I didn't have to go. I didn't, and you know, it's so funny. It's such a first world problem, right? I get these grades and I'm born into a great family who does well. And my biggest fear was going to college because of these reasons where I, you know, felt so lonely and ostracized, and was winning in life, but didn't feel like it. And my dad finally, like, we came to a happy consensus where I could do online school, which takes me no time. So I'm still getting my degree right now. It takes me like literally like an hour a month. And I get to run my business full time and travel. And, you know, I mean, that was the best thing ever. And I'm still so thankful that, you know, my dad and my mom are so emotionally intelligent and could sense the misery on me. And, you know, we went home and like just had it was such a hard conversation because I just didn't want to go. And my dad was so, you know, just nervous about me resenting him if I had to go to college, which I would never do. I love my dad with all my heart and I love my mom with all my heart. And so I ended up not going, right? And so now that summer of senior year where I knew I didn't have to go to college, I like balls to the wall, invested like $20,000 into mentorships, just pure scaling, pure building brand, pure filming content, pure building authority, all of this. And it's gotten me to where I'm at today. And my record month, I think, was $84,000. And my record week so far has been $36,000. And we can pop it up on the screen. And I'm scaling to 100K per month. I'm going to hit 100K per month next month. I'm so confident in it. And I'm going to hit 150K per month within, you know, by the time Christmas hits. Right now it's like July 17th right now, I think. And I'm going to hit 100K or 150K per month by December for sure. And like, that moment of my dad saying like, I trust you, but saying it without actually saying it indirectly, like, I trust you to do this and I believe in you, was like just so surreal. Because when you have these big dreams as a kid, your parents, they support it, but it's, you know, they're realistic people. And it's crazy when you show someone the proof of something and like they realize how real it really is. And I'm just so thankful I didn't have to go, because I know I wouldn't be here where I am right now. Like, I have Amias right here who's on my content team, and like, he's been helping me film this video. I wouldn't be here. I'm at my client Dave's penthouse in Brickell. We literally there are 49 floors in this building, and to get to this apartment, we hit the floor 49. This is the top floor. There's no balconies above us. There's none. And I'm here with my friends and my team, literally just filming and grinding away. And it's like absolutely surreal, because I know if I went to college, this would just never have happened. Like, zero chance at all that this would have happened. It's crazy. And I remember like going to Greece a month and a half ago with you know, Nick and Max, who's right in there, was insane. Max was just insane. Like, you can go watch the video who Amias, who's right behind the camera, like made the Greece lifestyle video. Like, oh my God, it was so surreal. And that was like my first big trip. And I travel so much, but that was the first huge trip I went on alone, like to Europe with no family members, with just people I'd never met in person and knew online. Like, that is what you do it for. Like, that's what you grind for. And after like 5 years and just that such a big fear of being average just finally did it. And Greece was like the epiphany moment. I came home from Greece a month ago and just hustled like so ridiculously hard. And I just paid thousands of dollars to a hypnotist who's coming up the elevator in like 30 minutes to come hypnotize me. Like a hypnotist. Like who would have thought of that? Who would have thought that I was born in Ohio, like the most boring state of all time. It's like a complete meme now, and would be like literally, and when I say the top floor, I mean the top floor. Like I just showed you guys, at the top floor of, Brickell Heights, filming a video about like how my life has gone, and being able to just blow money on a hypnotist. Like what? Like what is life? And I remember like all I've ever wanted to do is have enough money to take care of my family, even though they don't need it. I just wanted to do it to prove it more to me. Escape the, fear of me being average, going to college and getting a job and, making whatever amount a year. I'm sure I would be successful in a 9-to-5, but I know I would have no freedom. I don't want that. And now I get to go wherever the fuck I want with my friends, whenever the fuck I want to do it. And like hang out with my clients. I have a Croatia retreat planned in November. In like I think it's maybe the biggest residential house in Croatia, and like we're renting it, like, and it's my retreat. It's so surreal how far you can come if you simply just put the action in every day and allow the fear to motivate you and not just ruin you. That alone will allow you so much to just have that ongoing fuel. Because if, let's say you're watching this video right now and you're trying to find inspiration as an entrepreneur, and you're 16 and in high school and you don't want to go to college, and you make $5K a month off of a side hustle, and you have to understand that if every single day you think of that fear that you have of not being able to take care of your family, of having to go to college and live like a normal person, if every single day you think of that, you will get to where you want, because it will force the discipline out of you. Because a lot of people don't realize, but fear is really the biggest motivator. And the reason that I am here today is because I was so scared of everything. Now I'm scared of nothing. Thanks, Mr. Tate, who I've been a fan of forever. He got me into MMA and boxing and all that. But you need to allow all of the negative emotions that you have to become the driving force for why you become successful and get to where you want to go. And if you have any questions about just your journey, or even my journey, or you need advice on, how to get to where you want to go. And again, I'm 19. I don't have that much life experience. I'm just really good at info. I'm really good at branding. I'm really good at marketing. And I'm really good at sales, and I'm really good at delivering results for clients. And that's it. So if you ever need advice, or at least my perspective on, how I would get through a specific situation, whether it's a breakup, whether it's someone dying in your life, which we've all had that, whether it's a problem you're having personally, please DM me on Instagram. I would love to help you guys. I remember how many mentors I had that helped me with that stuff, and I know I wouldn't be there without them. And hopefully you guys will take me up on that, and I get to hear some of your stories as well. Thanks.